Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the final episode of my monthly music series. I've been doing this all throughout the year 2022. I'm filming this January the 3rd, a little bit after the holidays have wound down, and I have time to focus on getting out some content to you fine people. This is going to be a very large list, so I don't want to ramble too long. But I do want to thank everybody that stuck with me through the series. I'm sure I'll do a variant of it later this year. Probably not quite the same format, but anyway, I had a lot of listens this month in December. I was really pumping out Christmas music. Obviously, it's one of my favorite genres. Try to listen to as much as I can in that short period of time. So as a result, I listened to 95 different albums in the month of December, which isn't quite my highest. I think I've gotten over 100 a couple times this year. But considering I no longer work from home all the time, this was this was quite the feat to get that much music under my belt. So with that being said, I'm gonna jump into the artists that I've listened to the most. So in no particular order, I've got 5 artists here. Um, well, it is a particular order, I should say. But I won't tell you how many times I listen to each because that's boring. Um, so most listened. Um, Number 5, Ben Rector. Again, I mentioned I got a few of his albums this past month. Singer-songwriter, piano player, based out of Nashville. Has a lot of sentimental songs, tug at your heartstrings songs. So I listen to that. This is an album that I listen to. Something like this, really fun album. Let the Good Times Roll is very poppy. I highly recommend that. That's the I guess hit, as it were, off this album. But check it out. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about albums just because there's so many. Number 4 on artists most listened to, all thanks to this box set. Listened to a lot of Vince Guaraldi in December. This box set has 4 discs of music. It's also got a Blu-ray audio. I did an unboxing on an earlier video last month. Please check that out. And just fantastic Christmas jazz. Vince Guaraldi, the best-selling jazz album of all time. The Charlie Brown Christmas soundtrack. Highly recommend this box set from Craft Recordings. So he clocked in at number 4. Number 3, again, thanks to a box set and a few other listens, The Monkees. That's right. Not a big surprise on my channel, but I finally invested into listening to the Headquarters set. I did an unboxing for this when it came out in November, I believe. Didn't have a chance to listen to it then. Time got away from me, so I finally was able to sit down, listen to it. Really good stuff. It's a little repetitive, especially disc 2, which are the Don Kirshner backing vocal, backing instrumentation tracks. But the actual Monkey stuff is pretty good. So Headquarters, specifically The Monkees, as number 3 most listened. Number 2, kind of a surprise here, Andy Williams. This is the Andy Williams Christmas album, but I've listened to this album. I listened to the Williams Brothers, who I'm going to count as part of Andy Williams, the Williams Brothers Christmas album, which is fantastic. And actually, let me kind of do some double down here. Whoops. Yeah, this album I listened to for the first time. This was Andy Williams' second Christmas album, and really, really, really liked it. Again, you got half of it is traditional, half of it is secular Christmas music. Just the smooth vocals of Andy Williams are just second to none. And the other that I heard for the first time in its completion is the Williams Brothers Christmas. The second half of this is worth the price of admission. It's a huge medley of like 10 or 15 songs, and the Williams Brothers have like that 4 freshman sound, vocal harmony, predating the Beach Boys. All equally talented guys, and just a fantastic brother quartet. All right, so Andy Williams was the second most listened to artist in the last month. Number 1, no surprise for those of you that follow my channel in terms of what my favorite Christmas music is, the Statler Brothers. They were the most listened to artist this year. This past month. And I'll get to them in just a second, but the Statler Brothers were number 1. Now, let me talk about the 4 albums that I listened to the most. the last month. So this is a 2-disc set, but I'm specifically referring to this album right here. It's the only format that I have. This is called Christmas Present. It's a Statler Brothers. It's the second and final Christmas album the Statler Brothers did. It's the first and only one with tenor Jimmy Fortune. Really great stuff. They do a cover of Old Toy Trains, the Roger Miller song. They do a great version, a great song called Christmas Country Style. As opposed to the previous Christmas album that they did a few years earlier, this album doesn't really have your traditional Christmas songs on it. Lots of originals. Again, Christmas Country Style is a great banjo-driven Christmas song. Brahms' Bethlehem Lullaby, which is to the tune of Lullaby and Goodnight. Really, really good stuff. I highly recommend that. Christmas Present is number 4. And again, the reason it's 4 is because after that, a lot of albums I just listen to once or twice. Number 3, one of my top albums of the year, A Very Backstreet Christmas. Now, I listened to this album a bunch in November as well, but it also trickled over into December. So I've listened to this album a lot. And again, I've talked about it 100 times. I love it. If you like 90s boy band pop, Backstreet Boys, way to go. My guys. Number 2, again, another one that I won't talk about too much, Socks by J.D. McPherson. Rockabilly Christmas. Highly recommend it, Randy Nelson. And number 1, that's the most listened to Christmas album. Most listened to album of the month of December, Christmas Card. It's the perfect Christmas album. Highly recommend it. Statler Brothers 4-part harmony. I can't get enough of it. All right, now let me jump into First Time Spins. These are albums that have come out within the last year or more, meaning they're not new albums. They're not albums that came out in 2022. So it's the first time that I've spun these albums, some of which are newer than others, some of which are very old. So I'm going to jump ahead. I'm going to go ahead and keep in the Christmas music. If you don't care about Christmas music, skip ahead, and I'll get into actual non-Christmas music as well. And I'm just going to try to do these rapid fire because, again, I don't want this to be too long. In no order, listen to this for the first time. It's a compilation of the Supremes and the Temptations. Really, really good. The Supremes is all retro stuff. The Temptations stuff is creeping more into the 70s. But, you can check that out on your own. And it's exactly what you think it would sound like. The Ventures Christmas album. Absolutely love it. Instrumental surf music. This is a deluxe version that has stereo and mono. It's the Ventures doing Christmas songs. All the intros to the songs are intros to famous 60s songs of the time, like Beatles songs, Chuck Berry, stuff like that. So I highly recommend this, and Matthew Street will second that emotion. Holiday Sing Along with Mitch. Again, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's essentially karaoke for Christmas parties with a choir singing in the background, and it's meant for you all to sing along. Mitch Miller was a band director. They used to have Christmas specials with the lyrics come up on the TV screen, and people were supposed to be singing Christmas carols from their homes. So really, really good. And again, kind of in the same vein, Ray Conniff. If you like Mitch Miller, you'll like Ray Conniff, the Ray Conniff Singers. And I should mention that Bob McGrath, who just passed away in 2022 from Sesame Street, was a member of the Ray Conniff Singers. So, yeah, highly recommend that as well. Pretty Paper, Willie Nelson. Willie Nelson doing Christmas music. The one fault that I have with this particular CD, I don't know if it's just the pressing, as it were. It's very quiet, this version. I don't know if that was like that on the original album. Somebody can tell me. He does a great version of Frosty the Snowman, very jazzy. Pretty Papers, the big song on here. He does all the classics, Silent Night, Little Town of Bethlehem, Jingle Bells. So check it out, Pretty Paper. I listened to these 2 albums for the first time, Very Special Christmas Volume 1 and 2. Volume 1 is by far the better album. These were put out as charity for the Special Olympics back in the 80s and early 90s. You have things on here like Springsteen, U2, Bon Jovi, unfortunately, Sting, Run DMC, Stevie Nicks, just classic stuff that you hear on the radio all the time, but it's great to have it all in one compilation. Very Special Christmas 2. Again, a lot of the same artists, but you have the horrendous version of Santa Claus is Coming to Town by Frank Sinatra and Cyndi Lauper. Boyz II Men is on here. Aretha Franklin doing Oh Christmas Tree is very good. She starts it as O Tannenbaum. Rock Around the Christmas Tree with Ronnie Spector and Darlene Love is interesting. But the highlight on here is Christmas All Over Again, the first track by Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. And then the last Christmas album that I'll talk about, Percy Faith and His Orchestra, just great orchestral Christmas music, traditional stuff. Really, really good. This has a lot of bonus tracks on it from Real Gone Music. Check it out. Alrighty, that's all my Christmas music. Oh, excuse me, one more. Rosemary Clooney, White Christmas. She sings White Christmas and other Yuletide favorites. And yeah, if you like White Christmas and you like Rosemary Clooney, check it out. It's all the Christmas songs. All right, again, real quick, I'm gonna keep going here. The one vinyl that I listened to for the first time, I bought this over the summer. This is the Zombies R.I.P. This is a collection of songs that the Zombies essentially were recorded as, Rod Argent and Chris White. They, the first half of the album is essentially an Argent record for all intents and purposes. And the second half has some old studio outtakes or, unreleased tracks from the Colin Blunstone era, as well as a great version of which one is it? If It Don't Work Out. That's one of my favorite songs the Zombies do, and it was called R.I.P. Came out after they had already broken up. Some VCLT that I got around to listening to from my buddy Matthew Street. This is Marshall Crenshaw. His album Life's Too Short. Rockin' album. I appreciate it, Matthew. Marshall Crenshaw, if you like, Buddy Holly, some power pop stuff, maybe a little Elvis Costello, the Beatles, some country Americana. Marshall Crenshaw. This is a really, really good album. I need to listen to it again. Let me stick with VCLT. Matt also gave me Red Letter Glow by the Midnight Callers. This is a fantastic album. They're a power pop band from New England. Matt is in close contact with these boys. Young guys. They do a great version of Use Me by Bill Withers as a bonus track. The song 41 Miles to Roscoe made it all over Little Steven's Underground Garage on Sirius XM Radio. So these guys are becoming the real deal. And if I understand, they have a new album in the works. And this is on Gem Records, who I've talked about a few times. Another album that Matt gave me, the Gripweed, Speed of Live. This is another power pop group. They're modern, but they take the sounds of the 60s and run with it. I know Randall Nelson asked about this. Randy, check it out. Anybody that likes power pop, psychedelic rock, Beatles, Zombies, that kind of stuff, check this out. They do a few covers on here. They do So You Want to Be a Rock and Roll Star, Shaking All Over, really, really good. Really, really cool stuff. They're just a really, really tight band, and I really enjoyed that, Matt, so I appreciate it, buddy. And I believe, some more VCLT that I received that I finally got around to listening to for the first time. My buddy Rich Strickler gave me a box a couple months ago. This was in that box. This is Reckless by Bryan Adams. This was a really big breakthrough album for him. Just massive on the radio. One Night Love Affair was a hit. Run to You, Heaven, Somebody, he was big. Summer of '69, It's Only Love. I've seen Brian. He does a lot of the songs on this album. I've seen him twice. And really, really great 80s. Just a really, really great rock and roll album. And it's not very dated, surprisingly. Another one from my buddy Rich, Rod Stewart, Every Picture Tells a Story. I've never heard this album until this month, and I absolutely loved it. I love it. I cannot wait to spin it some more. You all know this album. I won't go into it, but folky, rocky, bluesy, some gospel in there with a version of Amazing Grace. Just really, really good stuff. And then my buddy Aaron Mutha Alamayer gave me this a couple months ago. Again, finally getting around to listening to it. Alice in Chains, MTV Unplugged. This was really good. I was really surprised, Aaron, and I really do dig this. I know I already talked about their EP Sap that I liked a lot, that Aaron also gave me. And yeah, I know him, JC, all those guys talk about this album as being a good one. So thank you so much, Aaron. This will not leave the collection. All right, just a few more, folks. I'm sorry this video is running long. These are a couple of albums by one of my musical crushes. This is Dory Freeman, and I got to see her. I didn't do a concert review. I was kind of under the weather and didn't have the motivation to do a concert review, but I saw Dory in late November. I think I saw her Saturday after Black Friday, I believe. In a small little country store. She's from my neck of the woods, but she's really becoming big on the festival circuit. She's played on, NPR and stuff like that. But this album, every single star is really good. She has her husband on here, Nick Falk, excuse me, Alex Hargreaves, who also plays with Sarah Jarosz. Just if you like Brandi Carlile, if you like, Joni Mitchell, check her out. Dory Freeman, she's fantastic. I've seen her twice. And then this one I liked a lot better. I've heard more tracks on this beforehand. This is 10,000 Roses, her most recent release, but she said during the concert that she's working on another record. Get You Off My Mind is beautiful. I Am is beautiful. Appalachian is beautiful. 10,000 Roses is a beautiful song. Again, Nobody Nothing. This is a really, really good album. I really, really like this album. So highly recommend this one to start, or even her original, which is self-titled. I talked about this in my last video. Austin City Limits, Johnny Cash off of New West Records. Live in 1987. It's Cash doing all the hits. June Carter shows up at the end. And Cash just does a heck of a performance. I mean, yeah. Check it out. It's very cheap on New West Records. Another one, thanks to Glenn Kelly from The Basement. I watched the video and loved this album. He talked about this album, The Byrds live at the Fillmore. This is the Byrds during their country rock era. At this point, they had John York, Gene Parsons, and Clarence White with Roger McGuinn. They do a lot of the country bird songs. They do a medley of some of their classics. They do a version of Rock and Roll Star. He Was a Friend of Mine, Chimes of Freedom to close it out. But they also do Pretty Boy Floyd, Nashville West, Christian Life. They also do Time Between, the Chris Hillman song, This Wheel's on Fire, Dylan. Highly recommend this if you can find it. I got it on eBay. I mentioned this guy earlier, Ben Rector, Into the Morning. This is kind of a very poppy album. It kind of reminded me a little bit of Room for Squares by John Mayer, except it's more piano driven. So it's kind of that production style, like that early 2000s kind of pop. But again, great lyrics. Loving You Is Easy is beautiful. White Dress, Moving Backwards, Dance With Me Baby. He's just really good. I've really come into like him this year. This one, I've had it in the shrink for a while because I was trying to complete my ELO collection this year, which I did, other than the album Zoom, which I'm looking for. Xanadu, ELO, and Olivia Newton-John. Of course, this is the soundtrack to the movie of the same name. Soundtrack got much better reviews, but this had the big hit Magic on it by Olivia Newton-John. She does a version of, she does a song with Gene Kelly, which is really cool. And then you have, The Fall, Don't Walk Away, I'm Alive, All Over the World, and then Xanadu, which was written by Jeff Lynne. But All Over the World was the big hit for ELO off of this record. Really good. I mean, it's classic Olivia Newton-John in the 80s, 1980. Classic Jeff Lynne as well. And, yeah, if you like ELO, you definitely need it. If you like Olivia Newton-John, it's got one of her biggest hits on it. And then lastly, I listened to this for the first time, Pink Floyd, Saucer Full of Secrets. And now I'm currently watching Jeff Witcher talk about Pink Floyd on his channel, and I've since bought 3 more Pink Floyd albums, which should be getting to me probably tomorrow. But yeah, it's the first album with Syd Barrett. Well, the first album in general. It's the first and really only full album with Syd Barrett, even though he was present for a few tracks on Saucer Full of Secrets, the next album. But this is a really, really good psychedelic album. I mean, Astronomy Domine is a big one. Lucifer Sam, Interstellar Overdrive, The Gnome is interesting. Chapter 24, Bike, just really psychedelic. And you wouldn't really know if this is the same band that would end up cranking out, The Wall and Dark Side and, Metal and those kinds of albums. So really, really glad to get this for Christmas. I really I'm happy with it. So there you go, folks. That's the end of my series. Again, I really appreciate y'all joining in. Again, I'm not going to cancel monthly vinyl finds. That will continue to be a thing. However, some of the aspects of the series might be condensed into one video as opposed to 2. So anyway, let me know what you think. Sorry it's so long. Sorry there's so many Christmas albums, but that's what you get on my channel. In the meantime, y'all be good. Take care. Subscribe, all that good stuff. And I will talk to y'all real soon. Bye now.